He comes and goes on a rainbow. Yes, the Culture Blaster, writing for the Marina Times, Michael Snyder, everybody. Michael, welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Finally, the tide has turned a little bit. Come on.
We're delighted to have you in the room.
Haters.
How many electronic devices do you bring? That have,
haters are going to hate, lovers are going to love. I ask you honestly, which is more fun? Come on. Where's the love at? Valentine's Day was last week, and it sort of made me think about how tough things can be when you're on your own. But a narcissist will never love you with all of their heart. A small part, even a ventricle, should be flattering enough. But no, it isn't going to happen.
A heart. It's a heart and ventricle. That's what the play.
Yeah, well, no, but I'm just saying.
No.
I experienced the loneliness this Valentine's Day.
Was there a sense of in your world? I always see you as surrounded by people all the time.
I am, but
but
this
there's
year,
an emptiness on the inside.
I had to be my own Valentine this year, Mark,
wow.
and I'm okay with that. I really am.
Oh my gosh! Well, that's.
Oh my God!
All right. Can you?
You were going to talk about movies that I recommended that you saw, and I thought that was...
Michael is hot. Albert, you can just tell me that he's hot. You don't have to message me, so I don't get the message for like 90 seconds.
It's not that I'm hot. I'm overheated is what it is.
No, Albert's telling me that I had your level up too high. Is it better now, Albert? No, okay.
Sounds great.
Before
Anyway.
we do movies, can I do a little bit of movie news as far as a death that we've had in the for the Hollywood
please.
crowd?
You're most
Hollywood
welcome.
Hollywood is in mourning today.
Kim, bring it on.
This is Stella Stevens, and I don't know if
Oh
you know who she is. But
Stella Stevens married to Richard Benjamin.
She has died at the age of 84. She is known for her roles in The Poseidon Adventure and The Nutty Professor. She also starred alongside Elvis Presley in Girls, Girls, Girls. Stevens was a Playboy centerfold in January of 1960. Her son confirmed her death and said she died after a battle with Alzheimer's. So Stella Stevens is dead at the age of 84. And I thought it would be appropriate to mention as we start to talk about movies with my
Very appropriate.
I agree. And to cast a pall on my segment, I really appreciate it.
Well, you know what, Michael? You have to, sometimes your stuff can uplift us from when we are mourning.
So.
But before we leave Stella Stevens, if you would, I believe she was married to Richard Benjamin. Will somebody check that?
It's possible. She was the embodiment of starlet. She was always lovely, blonde, bubbly. Losing her and Raquel Welch in the same week is kind of
those were two big sort of bundles of sexy, is what you're saying.
They were, and their beauty lives on thanks to the magic of celluloid or whatever you want to call it now, digital media.
Yeah,
but you were going to actually.
No, I think I'm wrong about this, Stella. About am I wrong about the Richard Benjamin thing? I'm going to have to look in the chat. I'm going to have to count on the audience for this.
You go willy-nilly.
No, Paula Prentice is married to Richard Benjamin. Thank you, John Smith. Yeah. Stella was not married to Richard Benjamin. Thank you, John Smith. Round of applause. Now I will shut up. Thank you. Not Richard Benjamin. Dillette had that same information.
Let's get on to something that you can actually be knowledgeable on, and that would be the movies that you watched that you said I recommended and that you had an opinion on.
Oh, yeah. Quickly, I'll just tell you. I really liked the movie that you liked. And one of the reasons I watched it is because you liked it so much, and that's Tar. It's how did you describe it? Sort of the way that journey, and before you know it, you realize, wow.
The lead character, played by Cate Blanchett, is a world-renowned orchestra conductor and composer, and she's also an expert on Mahler. And her private life is sort of ugly because she's come from next to nothing as a kid, and she's built this world-renowned profile, and it gives her a kind of arrogance. It's that the power has kind of corrupted her to a point where she takes what she wants, and her megalomania is her undoing. No spoiler.
Yeah, go ahead.
But it's a very powerful performance on Blanchett's part. But it's hard to be sympathetic toward her. When you learn about her background, you realize, the child is the father to the man or the mother to the woman. and what she went through maybe informed her behavior later on. It doesn't exonerate her, but
Sure.
you know, she
Exonerate,
is
too. Thank you.
she is probably along with Michelle Yeoh the more likely winner.
And she's
of,
brilliant.
of
She
the
she
Best
would have. She
Actress
should have
award.
won for Elizabeth when Gwyneth Paltrow took that Oscar from her. Of course, the Oscars are stupid anyway, and all those awards
Yeah,
are stupid. Okay, now we already said we have to say that. The other movie, which I just saw last night,
Yeah.
that was really good, was the Triangle. What is it? The
Triangle of Sadness by Ruben Ostrand.
Dude, that movie, that draws you in. You don't really know. And then it's like, wow, I get it. I get everything. It hits you. It's like, and it doesn't hit you at the very end. It hits you way before the very end. You think, oh my God, I get what's happening here. I get where they're headed. And this is amazing.
It's like the Poseidon Adventure meets Swept Away meets Family Guy.
That's right.
There is some raw, visceral humor in this thing you may or may not like. And the only familiar actor in this thing, in all probability, to most American viewers would be Woody Harrelson.
Yes.
But it's an international cast, and Ruben Ostrand is the guy who did Force Majeure, which is a wildly entertaining movie about a family trapped in an avalanche situation in the mountains of Europe. And he also did The Square, about a very prickly art curator. Both movies are wonderful, and he's now 3 for 3. I love Triangle of
You
Sadness.
recommended both, and you were right. Really, really good. So, Triangle of Sadness. We bought it on Amazon is the answer to the question in the chat. Like, where can you get it? We bought it. It was like $6-7 or something like that.
Worth every penny, I would bet.
I always like to, on a film that's like $5 or $6, turn to Courtney and say, all right, I'll split it with you. Just to, yeah, it's a little, right. It's our little joke. Try it at home. See how it goes. People have questions for you. Thank you.
Okay, I'll ask questions, then we'll get to the new movies.
Do you want to answer? Okay, so let me, this is a question about a TV series.
Right.
And it is, ask Snyder, John says, if he is in mad love with the series Poker Face.
I adore it. We've spoken about it here on the air,
We
if
have,
I'm
yeah.
not mistaken. And it's essentially Natasha Lyonne. You may know her from Slums of Beverly Hills back in the day. You may know her from her more recent triumph on Netflix, that being Russian Doll, the insanely clever, time-twisting, Groundhog Day-like, I guess we'd call it a sitcom. But in Poker Face, she plays Charlie, who is a young woman, a woman of a certain age at this point. I guess she's very youthful, but she has a gift, and the gift is to be able to read people and know when they're lying. And she ends up like Jessica Fletcher in Murder, She Wrote. Everywhere she goes, there's a killing, apparently. There's a murder. I believe there's a murder. And Charlie's in the middle of it and either implicated or trying to help someone who's relatively innocent, or just trying to deliver justice to the guilty. It's the work of Rian Johnson, who brought us Knives Out and Glass Onion and one of the Star Wars movies. Very talented pop-type director. And it's been renewed for a second season, and I love it. It's on Peacock, and it's the Murder of the Week template that we saw on Columbo, Macmillan and Wife, those 70s shows. And oddly enough, and charmingly enough, Ryan insisted that the opening credits look like one of those NBC mystery
that's
movies.
Great.
So
that's really
if you
great.
watch it, it kind of looks like a throwback, but it's pretty hip. There's cell phones, man, and there's all kinds of music from country to drum and bass and electronic.
And so they show you the murder first, the way they did on Columbo.
Yeah, you see
and then that's really great.
And you see how things unfold.
Great.
She may be an acquired taste, but she's got that kind of New York thing going on, and so there's a weird callback to Peter Falk's Columbo.
That's
only
cool.
not a rumpled middle-aged man, but this red-headed firecracker.
All right, so that's Poker Face. Good stuff. Okay, what do you have for us today?
Okay, blockbuster time. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is out, and you know me, I love me some superheroes. This is the third movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe to spotlight the size-changing superheroes of the title, and also the third to be directed by the comedy-wise Peyton Reed, who's Down with Love was maybe his first big splash. It's also the first movie in the latest phase of Marvel Studios' massive run of interrelated superhero films, meaning it has some serious setting up to do, even after Spider-Man No Way Home, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and the Loki TV series had some groundwork laid for what's to come. Does Quantumania try to do too much? Yeah, maybe. For the uninitiated, the title refers to the subatomic quantum realm where most of the movie takes place. So is it all over the map from microverse to macroverse? Yeah. But did I enjoy watching every minute of it? Yes, I did. There's an inevitable backlash. Superhero fatigue, Mark. I don't know how else to put it. There's success, breadth, and assembly line vibe going on with MCU's stream of movies and TV shows. So people are starting to whine. Justifiable with, for example, the ponderous 2021 entry Eternals, which is the first Marvel movie where I went like, yeah, no.
Doesn't make it. Huh?
No, but they're targeting this one, and I believe that it's gratuitous complaint. This is not as sprightly and funny and character-driven as the first two Ant-Man movies, which were essentially heist films as much as superhero fare, and it isn't as small scale, pardon me, as those first two, despite taking place in the subatomic wonder world that's beautifully and expansively rendered via the, admittedly omnipresent CGI animation. Star Wars style, but like taken to a high level. Anyway, it has characters that fans care about. And that investment is a large part of why I enjoyed the movie. Paul Rudd as Scott Ant-Man Lang is his usual appealing everyman self.
And he has such a sense of humor. He's so funny.
He's charming.
Is he charming and funny in this movie?
Yeah, but he's thrust into something that's really earth-shaking, earth-shattering, universe-impacting.
Yeah, okay.
So Evangeline Lilly checks in as Scott's fellow super and love interest Hope the Wasp Van Dyne. Michael Douglas and Michelle Pfeiffer are back as Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne, Hope's parents, and the original Ant-Man and Wasp in Marvel lore. And Catherine Newton joins the franchise as Scott's now 18-year-old daughter Cassie, who's a budding scientist and fledgling super in her own right. Dude, you even get Bill Murray in a glorified cameo that... yeah, I could take it or leave it, to be honest with you. Other than the visuals, much of the dramatic punch is due to some fantastic fiery work by Pfeiffer, whose character knows more about the quantum realm and its dangers than she let on in previous Ant-Man films. And Pfeiffer is more than matched by the intensely charismatic Jonathan Majors. You may recognize him from Lovecraft Country on HBO, the recent film about Korean fighter pilot's devotion, which I think is worth seeking out. And here's a Bay Area tie-in. He was one of the stars of The Last Black Man in San Francisco.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I love that movie, actually.
Here he plays Marvel's new big bad, the time and space traversing Kang, a despot who is ruling the quantum realm, drags the Langs and the Pym Van Dyne family down to his world and will bedevil the MCU's superhero community for the next few years. Here's the bottom line. If you've seen both previous Ant-Man movies and Loki, and are among the millions following the various other projects that comprise the MCU, this gets a big thumbs up. As for anybody else, Quantumania is not for you. I dug it, even if I missed the antic humor of Michael Peña's petty thief Luis, who brought the laughs in the other Ant-Man movies, but is not in this one. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania in theaters right now.
So you needed to see the prior iterations of this to appreciate it?
This is one of those things, like you said, should we watch Avengers Endgame? I went, no, you shouldn't. You haven't watched any of the previous films.
Okay.
Not at all. Let's move on to something you can watch without any prior study. Mm-hmm. I'm a sucker for movies about con games and con artists, so I am definitely the target audience for Sharper, which is a decent entry in the crime genre that kept my attention throughout. In fact, I can recommend it as one of those solid evening diversions for home viewing, which you will be able to manage this weekend if you have a subscription to Apple TV+. It's not a truly memorable all-timer, but it's cleverly devised and well acted by an able cast with some high-end actors. It's a fun way to immerse yourself in the conflict between the haves and the wants. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. We meet the various players in very methodical fashion, even as the plot thickens. There's Tom, played by Justice Smith. He's a New York City bookstore operator. Sandra, played by Brianna Middleton, an attractive young woman who shares Tom's love of great novels and, of course, catches his fancy. Flamboyant bad boy Max, played by Sebastian Stan, who, by the way, is an MCU veteran as the Winter Soldier. And billionaire Richard, played by John Lithgow. and his trophy wife, Madeline, played by Julianne Moore. So, yeah, there's some ammo here if you're looking for fine actors. To say much more about the movie would undermine the enjoyment of the scam, or the scams as they develop in Sharper. It's directed by Benjamin Caron and written by Brian Gatewood and Alessandro Tannic. Sharper is definitely sharp enough to earn my endorsement as a decent caper movie. It's in theaters, but yes, streaming on Apple TV+.
Wow. So, yeah.
I say yeah on that.
Okay.
It's not a great film, but the sort of thing that you really want to while a little time with if you like this sort of film.
Okay, cool.
Let's get a little more literary, a little more erudite. What do you say?
You. Yes, I love it. Please.
Emily is a lovely biographical film about Emily Bronte, one of the beloved literary Bronte sisters. Right.
Yeah.
Emily, Charlotte, and Anne. And more specifically, Emily is the one who was the author of Wuthering Heights. Yes, it was a tragically beautiful novel before it was a Kate Bush song. Okay, so anyway, side note, Emily's novel inspired sister Charlotte, who would eventually write a somewhat well-known book of her own entitled Jane Eyre. So, spoiler alert before we get to the meat of this thing. Emily died in 1848 at the age of 30, mere months after the publication of Wuthering Heights, which was published, by the way, initially under a pen name. But before that happened, she had a life as a poetically inclined introvert living with her sisters, a brother. That's right, there was a Bronte brother. You don't hear about him, do you? Mm-hmm. And their widower father, and they're living in often rainy and dank Yorkshire in the area in a village. So Emily feels bottled up by the expectations of her father, a man of the church, and the oppressive nature of the era's attitudes toward women. Secretly, she wants to let her creative freak flag fly, but she's looked upon as an oddity by the locals, except for her often wasted brother and a young man newly employed as a curate at the village church. The new curate is drawn to Emily, and she to him. As you might imagine, there's heartbreak and angst in Emily, which, by the way, was thoughtfully written and elegantly directed by British-born, Aussie-raised actress Frances O'Connor, who's probably best known for the movies Mansfield Park and AI Artificial Intelligence. And here's a big recommendation if you haven't seen it, the super tense miniseries The Missing, about a kidnapped child. She's a wonderful actor. Turns out she's a wonderful screenwriter and director. This is the sort of movie that really needs a strong actress as the lead, and it's blessed by Emma Mackey, who delivers a rich, tender, many-layered performance as Emily. Mackey is the Franco-British charmer who plays the lovable trailer park babe in the UK sitcom Sex Education, which you can watch on Netflix. It's wonderfully entertaining, funny, and winsome and wise. And she was architect Gustave Eiffel's love interest in the French period biopic Eiffel. Emily is Mackey's most compelling role and the finest work she's done to date in a burgeoning career. Watch out for Emma Mackey. Emily is in theaters this weekend, and it will be fun to watch and worthwhile to watch at home, but it's pretty lovely, and I can imagine theater goers would enjoy it as well.
Wow. You really did like that.
One more quickie, if you don't mind, in
Please.
The movie realm. Of an Age is an easygoing and sensitively made gay love story spiced with culture clash drama. It comes from Australia, where it's set in 1999, and goes into motion when Cole, a 17-year-old ballroom dancer from a Serbian immigrant family, needs to track down his wayward dance partner, Ebony, in order to get her to a competition so they can compete and see if they can win some sort of title as ballroom dancers. With no other options, Cole has to recruit Emily's brother Adam to find the girl and get the couple to the competition in time. Along the way, Cole and Adam find themselves drawn to one another, and a whirlwind 24-hour romance happens. This is written and directed by Goran Stolevsky. Of an Age is a small gem of a movie, given warmth and soul by the performances of Elias Anton as Cole and Tom Green as Adam, and they are ably supported by Hattie Hook as Wild Child Ebony. It's in theaters this weekend, but again, this should thrive on streaming video. I thought this was a lovely film, too.
Wow.
Oh,
He
good.
really came to us with a couple of real jewels today.
I'll put it on my list.
Yeah.
We also, we're not stopping when it comes to video.
We're not. Can we stop for a second, though? Because I'd like to just acknowledge, I don't keep track of it quite as diligently maybe as I should, because I'm paying attention to you. And sometimes I don't want
to your detriment.
Stuff gets into the outfield on me when it comes to ding words. So we have Tom, who is the unofficial ding word tracker. And when you come in, I should keep greater attention to what you say because you do serve up ding words. So I just quickly want to note, if I can, because there are people who follow it. Ponderous, yeah, that's a ding word. Gratuitous is a ding word. Omnipresent. What do you think about that?
Yeah.
Okay. Despot, Tom says he should be dinged for
Well,
despot.
what do you want me to say? Tyrant? Would that have been dinged?
I think despot is, I will give it it's an SAT word, even though I agree. It's not that people don't know what it means. It's an SAT. So, iterations, yes. Methodical? No. I won't ding methodical. Angst, though, Tom says we should ding.
Angst is the current quality of life in the world in 21.
Yeah, I'm not going to ding
22,
angst,
23.
but I will ding. He's right. Winsome is a ding word. Yeah, very much so. Okay. Thank you, Tom, for that. Go ahead. Continue, please, Michael.
So
I'll summarize everything at the end.
You know,
in
I
terms
love
of
the
his movies. Don't worry.
sci-fi. You know, I love the superhero stuff. I mean,
sir.
even as I bring you something like Emily, don't think that I'm just going to
No, you can do it all.
in my parents' basement reading comic books.
Right.
I am not. I'm in my house reading comic books. Anyway, Star Trek Picard on Paramount Plus just kicked off its third and ostensibly final season, boldly going into the 25th century of the United Federation of Planets to revisit Jean-Luc Picard, former captain of the Starship Enterprise, now a retired Starfleet admiral, played, of course, by the king of elocution, Patrick Stewart.
Yes.
So a distress call compels Picard to gather up the gang from Star Trek The Next Generation, including Jonathan Frakes as current Captain Will Riker. And Frakes and Stewart playing off one another is a joy to behold for anyone who has followed these shows.
Wow.
Marina Sirtis as Riker's wife, Deanna Troi. Michael Dorn as Klingon warrior Worf, who said during one cosplay adventure in the holographic suites, when they were doing Robin Hood, I am not a merry man. I always appreciated that. Anyway, also LeVar Burton as Geordi LaForge and the others. This is decades apart. But now they're brought together to deal with a threat against the Federation that apparently only they can stop. Jerry Ryan as former Borg slave, Seven of Nine.
They really got the band back together.
She's there.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it was such a pleasure to watch this. And I watched the first two seasons. I wasn't crazy about them, but it's so nice revisiting this character and this world. And whenever Frakes and Stewart got together in the previous shows, he and Sirtis were the only. And Brent Spiner as Data. I forgot about him.
He's a big deal.
When they were all working together, God, the ease and comfort of their interplay is it's like warm milk before bedtime, Mark. Anyway, Star Trek Picard kicks off its
I've got
season.
a question for all of you Trekkies in Star Trek Picard. Let's do it real quick. How old is your starship captain, Patrick Stewart? How old is Patrick Stewart, king of the Shakespearean? Let me finish my ramp up, Kim, before you interrupt. How dare you? King of the Shakespearean stage. Michael, you know he made his bones a legitimate actor on stage.
Oh, yes, a member of the Royal Shakespeare
Before
Company.
ever a starship was in his future.
Oh, yes.
Picard. Patrick Stewart, now his fame and fortune associated with that franchise. Now, Kim, please, how old is Patrick?
I wanted to clarify, how old is the character Picard or how old is the actor Patrick Stewart?
They're never going to tell you how old the character Picard is, I don't think. I mean, I think that's sort of, he's timeless.
He's old.
He's old. Space. I mean, in space, no one ever really... I mean in real life.
Furthermore,
Picard,
the character, has a synthetic body now. Did you know that?
Oh, I did not know that. Oh, that's
As of Series 1 of Picard.
Oh, that happened in the first season. Okay.
Oh, spoiler alert.
8177 says Karen. 80 says Karen Q. 85 says Jim Riley. 82, Tom Googled it. Tom, if you're not going to play by the rules, M. Oak says 84. John Watson says 68. The answer indeed, 82. Lisa got it without Googling. Nice job, Lisa.
He is a vital.
I know, Tom, that you Googled it.
He's
so
a vital and spry 82.
Everything
Amazingly.
about that guest said I Googled it.
We should all be in Patrick Stewart's shape in our 80s.
It is true. Anyway, that's Picard is. I have a question for Kim, though.
Yeah.
You can play too, Michael.
Okay.
How many times has Patrick Stewart been married?
Oh.
Oh, let's do it again.
Oh, wait a minute.
Let's do it again, everybody. How many times has Patrick Stewart been married? And no Googling.
No, I will make a guess off the top of my head. If you count the Orion slave girl that he was married to, that would be 3 times, I think.
I mean, I only count Earthlings. How many times has Patrick Stewart been married? It's much easier to guess it because you know it's going to be a...
I like him. And I feel like he's a one-woman man. I'm going to say Patrick Stewart has been married once.
Once? Okay.
Yeah.
2 says Jerry. 3 says John. Dottie says 3. Tranquil says 3. Tom says 3. Jose Ramirez says 3. Karen Q says 3, I think. 4 from M. Oak. 3, yeah, I mean, it's possible. I mean,
wasn't he briefly married to Larry King?
Patrick Stewart.
Who was it?
Yeah,
what can you tell us about the scene?
His marriage on, the Larry King scale.
Yeah, that's right.
What can you tell us about the scene?
Right. The answer, my friends, is Patrick Stewart was married to Sheila Faulconer in 1966. Divorced in 1990. Yes, I'm sorry.
Damn it.
Then remarried to Wendy Noose in 2000.
All right.
And they had a great marriage until they were divorced.
Oh, no.
In 2003.
What?
And then, so we're at 2, everybody. Did he marry again? Those of you who guessed 2. In 2013, he met Sonny Ozell and they got married again.
So much.
The answer is 3.
I was right.
You were
Never
right.
been
I know
anything
it.
like this.
There wasn't a
If
regalian.
you guessed 3,
There
you
wasn't
are
a
a winner.
regalian or a Klingon. No, it was 3 human women.
3 human women to Patrick Stewart at age 82.
Hey, and God love him. He's in his 80s and he's fantastic. You know what? I'm going to quote a character from the Marvel Cinematic Universe regarding this. Howard Stark, father of Tony Stark, one of the men behind S.H.I.E.L.D. in this grandiose tapestry of narrative. When back in the day, he said the following: "No amount of money ever bought a second of time." And let me tell you something.
That is
Patrick Stewart has led a life worth living, and I hope we all follow in his footsteps.
Wow, that's very
Good day, sir.
All right, fine. Okay, I am out of here.
I thought
then.
it was a piece of philosophy that we could all take to heart, but Albert felt it deserved a...
Michael, I feel like I have very little shticks on the show, and the wisdom is probably my part. So
Yes, it's true.
pushing back just a
Michael,
little bit.
I don't know if you're aware of this, but the wisdom on the show is coming from Albert. He
No.
once in a while serves up some wisdom.
This was Howard Stark, a fictional person.
Yeah, but you
delivered
called
this.
it back, and
I
if he was to say, like, I think a great philosopher said it, Mark, blah blah blah, or
You
whatever.
get nothing.
Yeah, you don't get any credit for that. I forgot about that.
Speaking of
Albert,
Albert
thank
and the commissioner, so glad that this NFL season is over. Heart sick at the way the Dubs have been playing lately.
Yep.
Pitchers and catchers reported to Scottsdale, Arizona.
That's right.
Bring on the orange and black. Bring on our San Francisco Giants. I'm ready for that.
Quickly, Ant-Man and the Wasp, QUANTUMANIA. Paul Rudd, Evangeline Lilly, Jonathan Majors, Michelle Pfeiffer, Michael Douglas, Bill Murray's in the movie. He liked it. He said, but if you haven't seen the other ones, don't bother. But he said, if you like, it's got all the charm and humor and all that you've grown from that franchise to expect. Sharper in theaters and Apple TV Plus now. He liked Sharper. Okay, anyway, right?
Yeah, it's not great, but I enjoyed watching it. And
Right.
isn't that
that's
the ultimate accolade, really?
That's the accolade is a ding word. It's a caper movie, didn't you tell me?
It is.
I like capers, so maybe I would.
It's about con artists and what have you.
Maybe I'll do that. Emily, which is the Bronte story with Emma Mackey. You like that?
I really like that.
Really
I would
like that.
I would use the other L word. I think I loved it.
He loved Emily.
For what it was.
What?
It was really beautifully
It's in
rendered.
theaters and can be found probably streaming before too long. Of an Age, a small gem of a movie, were the words used by Michael. It's in theaters and likely will be enjoyed streaming as well, he said.
24-hour whirlwind romance between two young men in 1999 in Australia.
And Star Trek Picard, the final season, they got the band back together. Patrick Stewart, the 82-year-old captain, still rocking it on his third marriage. We loved it. Michael, you are our pal, our friend. You come in on Fridays. You can be read in the Marina Times. You write about all things music, movies, television. You come and go on a rainbow. Bye, Michael. Bye-bye.
Make it so, everyone.
Yes. Make it so, a reference to Star Trek. Yeah, I get it. Remind us what you watched last night, Mark. I watched Triangle of Sadness, and I recommend it. And you have to. It's really quite the ride. I really liked it.